Good evening. Hereby convened the Westchester Township Trustee meeting, August 13. Roll call.
Mr. Wong,
Present.
Mrs. Stoker,
Here.
and Mr. Lang needed to attend a funeral.
Okay. Tonight we have going to invite Adam Leiter of Westchester Troop Number 962 to come forward to lead in our Pledge of Allegiance. Please arise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. First order of business is citizens' comment. 2 minutes per person, limited to a total of 10 minutes for Westchester residents and business. We have 2 persons sign up. First is Gerard Cole. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is, Jerry Caney. My residence address is 8022 LeBlanc Way. I'm here on behalf of the Westchester Historical Society and express my appreciation for the support of the township in regards to our archaeological dig. It was conducted July 29th through August 2nd. Through the help of Mrs. Boyko and Mr. Tim Frank, we conducted a very successful dig this year. We had 30 people participating in this week period. And of that, we had 9 Boy Scouts participate. And with the tutelage of Mr. Bill Smith, he conducted the quizzes for the archaeological badges. And in the last 2 years, we've been able to get 26 boys or assist them to earn their merit badge through this archaeological dig. We really appreciate the cooperation of the township in this regard, and also for the support from the local TV station. I understand that they're going to cut a tape for us, so we'll see how that works out. And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Next, we have Ms. Mary Jo Bicknell, I'm sorry.
Mary Jo Bicknell, 5171 Rialto Road, Westchester, Ohio. And I'm the current president of the Historical Society, and I'm backing up Mr. Caney with the appreciation that the Historical Society has for the board and for their faculty and the help that they had given us to set up and complete our dig. I don't know if the board realizes this, but every other month I meet with very many historical societies of Butler County. And we are the only ones, the Westchester Historical Society, that offers any type of program like this for the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or even any retired people or working people that have attended with us. And we have quite a few that take a couple days off work and help us with the dig, and they are so delighted, and a lot of them stay with the Boy Scouts that they bring. So we are doing some good work in the county, because every time I mention this, all the other historical societies, because it takes a little work, to get everything together with Jerry and Bill working with Mr. Frank and his great cooperation that we've had, in the past couple of years. So for 5 days, we have children that come maybe 1 day, 2 days, and some come the whole week. They have so much fun on the first day, they want to stay the whole week. And we encourage that because they interact with everyone that attends, all the adults. And so they learn a lot of cooperation with older people at ages 9, 10, up to 14 or 15. So we greatly appreciate all the help that the Township Board and their staff has given us over the last few years.
Mary Jo, thank you so much, and I know I speak for the whole board in saying thank you so much for all the volunteer time you and all the members put in. This dig would not happen without your effort. The coordination between all the other organizations would not happen without your hard work and volunteer effort. And the township owes you a debt of gratitude, you and all the members, and we appreciate you very much, all the time and effort you've put in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Okay, next item is action item. I will entertain a motion to approve trustee meeting minutes, July 23rd, 2013.
Also move.
I'll second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve Butler County Water and Sewer operational overview and cost impacting water rates work session minutes, July 23rd, 2013.
Also move.
I'll second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve payment of bills.
Also move.
I'll second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyko, requisitions greater than $2,500.
Item 1, $8,693.98 to Dale Marketing LP. This is to purchase replacement virtual host servers as part of our capital improvement program. The township has completely transitioned to a virtualized environment for most of our hardware and our storage of data, information, and software. And through this complete transition, we've been able to perform some economies of scale, and under the leadership of our Finance and Information Technology Director, Mr. Keim, and the Operations Manager for IT, Mrs. Terry Hovey-Randall, we are able to reduce the number of overall virtual servers from 3 to 1, and are pleased to bring this replacement program to the board for your approval. So this is just to replace the virtual host server as part of our CIP program. Item 2, fire, in the amount of $18,080 to Phoenix Safety Outfitters. This is to purchase 10 sets of turnout firefighting coats and pants for replacement, again, part of our capital improvement plan. It is expected life of this type of equipment or materials is 10 years, and this is at its end of life cycle. Item 3, fire, $3,934.76. This is a reimbursed tuition per the collective bargaining agreement for firefighter paramedic Sean Connolly. Item 4, Granger Incorporated, $2,698.75 to purchase 11 MSA single gas carbon monoxide monitors. This again was part of our capital improvement plan and was to be purchased if we were awarded a grant. The fire department has been awarded the 2012-2013 EMS grant, 2013-2014 EMS grant, and the fire chief would like to apply those grant proceeds to this purchase. These are, as you call, single gas carbon monoxide monitors that can be attached and portable, so that when the firefighters and paramedics enter homes, they can immediately determine if carbon monoxide is an issue of the purpose for the call. And again, this is fully 100% reimbursed. Item fire police, $30,388.09 to Cogent Systems. As the board is aware, there is a multi-jurisdictional arrangement and agreement on APHIS, the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, where multiple agencies, law enforcement agencies, pool the fingerprints that they received from offenders, and all of these agencies are able to access and also access the Bureau of Criminal Investigation Services, I believe it's the BCIS. So Chief Niehaus is requesting the board renew this one-year maintenance agreement for the Automated Fingerprint Identification System to Cogent Systems. And item 6, services, $8,239, the Max Construction Group, LLC. This is to replace 6 exterior doors at the Westchester Safety Services Center. These are man doors, exterior doors that have, because of the age of the building, obviously it's 20-plus years old, and these metal doors are experiencing some rust.
I will entertain a motion for item 1 through 6.
Also move.
A second. Discussion. Mr. Jones, roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Ms. Boyko, business item.
This is a motion to approve statutory resolution number 13-2013. I have provided several reports, both discussing and presenting the Butler County Water and Sewer Department's award of the OEPA grant, 319 grant, to make riparian improvements to the Mill Creek along property acquired by the township, which we refer to as the Wildermuth property. This property is adjacent to the Mill Creek and obviously runs parallel to it. Butler County was awarded the grant and has been negotiating a property use and maintenance agreement with the township to use and construct and maintain improvements on this property that is under the jurisdiction of and owned by the township. The terms and conditions of the agreement are consistent with and to similarly processed types of requests, and the law director has authorized this resolution and the agreement to form. The agreement basically, as I said, permits the use of the property to construct and maintain the riparian improvements that were awarded through the grant process, the OEPA grant process. It is a 5-year initial term with 4-year, 5-year renewals, and they are automatic unless interrupted by either party. The county may not terminate the agreement until they've completed the improvements, and even if they terminate the contract or agreement post-construction of the improvements, they are still under the responsibility of the Butler County to maintain those improvements. Additionally, the agreement does not preclude the township from approving the project or the property in the manner that we were awarded the property through the Clean Ohio Fund. So we are requesting the board's consideration to approve statutory resolution number 13-2013, authorizing the use of and riparian restoration on the Wildermuth property, and approving the Wildermuth property and maintenance agreement between the Westchester Township Board of Trustees and the Board of County Commissioners of Butler County, acting through the Butler County Water and Sewer Department.
I will entertain a motion for item 7.
I move that we approve statutory resolution number 13-2013, authorizing the use of and riparian restoration on the Wildermuth property and approving the Wildermuth property and maintenance agreement between the Westchester Township Board of Trustees and the Board of County Commissioners of Butler County, acting through the Butler County Water and Sewer Department.
I'll second. Discussion?
This is, number one, as I told the board last time when this came up, they had me at the Butler County maintaining our property. But the fact is that the improvements that Butler County will be doing in that area help support the function of our Upper Mill Creek sewer plant. So this is important improvements which will be made to help maintain our good quality groundwater and help maintain the function of our wastewater treatment plant.
Yes. Mill Creek runs through this property.
The tributary to it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jones, roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Item 8.
Item 8 for board's consideration is to approve a license agreement between the township and the Union Center Boulevard Merchants Association. As you may recall, annually over the last 5-6 years, the Union Center Boulevard Merchants Association has hosted and sponsored a blast, bash, or festival at the Union Square, on Union Center, generally at the Square facility. And this year they are proposing a unique event, and they are calling it the Food Truck Rally. Any fans of the Food Network or any other foodie type of show on cable television these days, they do know that food trucks are quite the rave, especially with the gourmet and organic-like types of produce and fare. So they are going to take advantage of that nostalgia and are requesting the board's consideration to allow them to enter into this license agreement to use portions of township property, specifically the square, to close Center Point, generally from its east terminus, which is just west of the Center Point 6 building, and then all the way to basically the center loop where it comes out on the west end by the library. So minimal traffic, really no traffic would be deflected or interrupted, and the businesses all have access to their either business or parking lots. So our request in the board's consideration to enter into this agreement. It is scheduled for Friday, August 30th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. It is a one-day festival. There will be obviously the food trucks during that time period, and bands will be playing during the lunch hour and then into the evening hours. And the formal property address of the square is 9285 Centerpoint Drive.
I will entertain a motion for item 8.
I'll make a motion then to approve a license agreement as described by Mrs. Boyko between Westchester and the Union Center Boulevard Merchant Association.
I'll second it. Discussion?
They had a nice write-up on this event in the Journal News, and it looks like it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. This is not your average truck vendor food. They have a wide variety, and it should be very entertaining.
Yes.
And I imagine everybody who comes there are really going to enjoy the event.
Yes, there's a popular demand for this. Okay, roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Item 9.
Item 9, Community Development Department requests the board to declare 2 properties as public nuisances, 8234 Gray Fox Drive and 8111 Dimmick Road. A sample motion as prepared on page 2 of your memorandum.
I will entertain a motion for item 9.
Having reviewed the staff reports and affidavits, I move that we declare the properties listed on the Westchester Township Board of Trustees meeting agenda dated August 13th, 2013, to be public nuisances as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. Staff is directed to cause removal of the nuisances identified and monitor the properties for 90 days to require continued compliance. An administrative charge of 25% shall be added to the contractor fee for the properties.
I'll second it. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Item 10.
The fire department maintains a complement of portable 6 heart monitors and 14 AEDs as part of their EMS supplies in the squads. And they do have a service contract on this equipment just to maintain its standards and its qualifications for use. Previously, we have always engaged in a 1-year contract, and each year the contract increases about 5% from the previous year. Again, as part of our bridge year practices, we're trying to reinvent the way we do business, and so we did ask if we're able to maintain a longer-term contract because this is the company that generally with whom we do business. And so they did offer Physio Control did offer a 3-year contract at a constant price of today's rate, and we will then be able to secure same pricing for the next 2 years of this 3-year, same price for the 3 years of the contract. So we are requesting that the board read the motion as itemized on item 10 of the agenda, which will allow a 3-year contract not to exceed $33,897, with each annual payment of the 3 years being $11,299.
I will entertain a motion for item 10.
I'll make a motion to approve a 3-year service contract effective August 3, 2013 through August 2, 2016 between Westchester Township and Physio Control for an annual service on 6 heart monitors and 14 AEDs not to exceed $33,897 with the annual payment of $11,299 each of the 3 years, and authorize the township administrator to execute said contract.
I'll second it. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
All right. Since we finished so early, I'm going to defer the first reading of resolutions during the public hearing schedule at 7 p.m. We'll move down to citizens' comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Mark Morris, and I live at 8876 Eagle View Drive. A few months ago, I came and spoke about all the work that was done on 42 by the state of Ohio with the widening of the road, and asked a few questions about, revitalization of that area. Since that time, it's come into my possession an actual plan that it looks like the business district put together for that area that actually states that once the work was done by the state, that the township would start doing things like moving and installing street lighting and basically revitalizing a corridor of Westchester that in the beginning was Westchester. And I just really have the question if the township has any intentions of following through with this plan that was presented back in 2010, because that's a desperately needed area to be revitalized. We seem to focus all of our attention on Union Center and the west side of Westchester, but we seem to completely ignore the 42 corridor, which I'm sure a lot of those folks feel like they're just forgotten residents because nothing seems to go on there. We pick and choose on what we're going to regulate. We regulate businesses like a tax guy wearing a costume. We regulate other businesses. But if you drive up and down 42, you'll find 5 or 6 car lots with junk cars sitting out in the parking lots. You'll find dilapidated looking signs that are on some of the businesses that have been gone for years. And it just really looks like a blight on Westchester when you drive up and down 42. And I would just like to know if the township has any intention of revitalizing that area to kind of make that area welcome into Westchester again. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Is this the time to talk about the resolution having to do with the YMCA?
No, not yet.
Will there be time for the public to make comments on that?
Yes. We're going to have a hearing at 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
More than once? More than twice? Okay, let's move on. Discussion items and trustee comments. Ms. Michael?
I have 2 items, both of which I have separately and independently discussed with Trustee Lang, and always want to make sure that whenever we have a full board, really just don't want to present any information that one trustee would not have, and so he is aware of these 2 items, and since I'm not seeking any formal vote from the Board of Trustees, it was my understanding that he said it was fine to continue with these 2 items. One of them, obviously, is the aggregation program electric supplier contract. At your last meeting, I presented the trustees' aggregation electric supplier contract with First Energy Solutions does expire at the end of this year. In order to accommodate the lengthy process of the RFP process, Mark Burns had begun a request for proposal process to renew or reestablish an electric supplier for our electric aggregation program. At that time, no formal action was taken. The majority of the Board of Trustees did direct me that she would like to see to continue with this program, and so I am bringing to you some of the results of the RFP process conducted by Mark Burns to submit a electric supplier. He has concluded the process, as I indicated, and a presentation of this process, the review of the bidders, and a recommended supplier was previously shared with the Board. In summary, there were 40 eligible suppliers were invited to bid. 9 suppliers actually bidded. The bid terms requested were for 12, 17, 24, and 36-month pricing quotes. So independent and individual of those 4 time frames, quotes were requested, including fixed rate versus a % discount of Duke Energy's rates. Obviously, in our program, we do not allow to contract with for any kind of termination fee, so there is no termination fee in any of our programs, and some of the providers did indicate a civic grant option. Based on Mr. Burns' process for scoring the bids, 3 suppliers of the 9 that submitted presented competitive bids, with really only 2 for future or in further consideration. A comparison of the suppliers which you already received and was attached to your discussion item, preliminary notes, as part of your agenda memorandums, illustrates the alternative terms, fixed rate pricing, and other responses to contract terms of the 2 that are probably the most competitive. Mr. Burns' review indicates that an extended term contract would capture competitive pricing initially and would secure stable pricing long-term based on projected electric energy trends and purchasing of that electric energy. So at this time, if at least a majority of the board would like to continue the Township Electric Aggregation Program, I am seeking just direction from the board if you would like for me to negotiate with an electric supplier of those that were competitively bidded, of those top two bidders for an extended year contract that I could bring back to the full board for its consideration and determination if it would like to continue and actually approve a contract with a preferred supplier.
Well, our current contract expires in December.
Yes.
I think with the time constraint, I think we should proceed.
I concur. I think it's been a good program. We'll be able to discuss it, of course, in detail, pros and cons, when Mr. Lang is here to engage in discussion also. But in the meantime, I think because of the time constraint, it's necessary to move forward. So if you could do that towards negotiating and selecting and working on a contract with a new supplier.
And as I did say, Trustee Lang was aware that I would be seeking this direction and that there would be no vote until the full board was here with an actual contract. And so he said that he was comfortable with that. Then the other item I have is just an update on the Smith Road connector. Not looking for any direction, no vote and no direction at this time, and would make this similar and if not same presentation at your next meeting where a full board could be present to hear all of the preliminary results of some of the engineering the county engineer's office conducted. At previous Board of Trustees meetings, as you know, the Smith Road connector has been discussed, and at the introduction of a trustee several meetings ago, a majority of the board did direct staff to work with the county engineer's office to secure preliminary engineering limits, scope, and preliminary costs of this proposed Smith Road connector. And we have that preliminary engineering would not only cover the Smith Road connector that is a continuous path from currently an existing path at Beckett Ridge Boulevard west to an existing path east of Endeavor Elementary School and just west of State Route 747 to kind of the Sibsey Klein, McDonald's vicinity. The engineer's office has been working with staff to identify these improvements and to construct the proposed multi-purpose path. The engineers has completed its engineering, and the engineering proposes mostly an 8-foot wide asphalt path with a limited section of 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk where existing curb exists, which is mostly in the vicinity, the sidewalk at Kroger, the Kroger location. That would be the 6-foot concrete sidewalk would kind of be contained to that area where it would just be an extension of the existing curb. But in all other areas of that continuous path, it would be a 8-foot asphalt pavement. In any area, there would be a minimum of a 6-foot distance from the existing roadway to the path. So there would be some grass, green space in between the existing road, Beckett Road, Smith Road, and then the path. All intersections will be equipped with ADA curb ramps at appropriate streets and driveways, and both signalized intersections, the one at Smith and Beckett and the one, of course, at Smith and 747, would be properly equipped with crosswalks and pedestrian heads, if not currently. Additionally, the proposed project does estimate an overlay, an asphalt overlay for the current path that is just east of Endeavor School and stops right about at the Sibsey Klein building. So there is an existing path that the township maintains that is about 14, 15 years old and is in need of some repair work. And so this would be a timely opportunity to complete that overlay and build this new section if that's what the board directs. The cost estimate for the Smith Road connector is approximately $270,000 with the materials and the length that I just mentioned. With the proposed overlay, as I mentioned, to the existing path just west of Endeavor Elementary School at an additional $88,000. So in totality, it's about $360,000 from preliminary engineering estimates, and that cost is consistent with the initial estimate that was presented when the board was contemplating a grant application. So the price is consistent. To review the plans and understand any property owners' potential concerns, which we worked into a proposed construction schedule. The Community Development Department does have meetings scheduled with 5 of the 6 affected property owners this week, and staff is still trying to connect with the 6th property owner, which is a remote owner. This time, the construction schedule, as I mentioned, previously presented, is still intact and on track. It's still applicable. And if the scope, limits, and cost estimates are acceptable to the board, then at a near future meeting, staff will ask the board to make some decision if it wants to continue with this project and direct us to complete final engineering. But again, that's not for discussion this evening. We'll wait till Trustee Lang is in attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions or any preliminary things initially?
You're going to send out, as you have, details out to the board, distributed among the board, so we'll have a little time before the next meeting to
Yes,
review.
I certainly can do that, yes.
As they're available, right.
Yep, I certainly can do that.
All right. We have time for executive session. And oh, I'm sorry. Trustee comments.
Oh, thank you. One of the services that our many township volunteers provide to this township is the senior van service. That's been in existence, I think, about as long as I've been a trustee, and I've been a volunteer dispatcher with them. The senior van transportation service is basically a group of up to 24 volunteers who give their time and their effort and their expertise to enable senior citizens or those who are wheelchair bound or those who are blind free transportation to doctor's appointments, grocery stores, other necessary appointments for the residents of Westchester so they can stay independent in their own homes after the time when they have to stop driving. Lately, we've had a few of our more senior bus drivers have had to retire, so now we have openings which are real important. So I just wanted to throw out at this time, anybody who would like to contribute some time to work with some really excellent people. These are just great men and women who provide a service to our senior citizens. If they would call the township, it's at 777-5900. They can put you in touch if you're interested in helping be one of the volunteers and volunteer maybe 1 day a week to help make sure our senior citizens can get to doctor's appointments in the grocery store. That would be a very important contribution to the well-being of this township.
Thank you. I want to say that Westchester business is doing well, and last quarter, according to our Development Council newsletter, we have about 28 new business and expansion in the last quarter. I think that's good news for our township. Okay, let's move.
I didn't know if the board wanted to address the citizens' comment.
Regarding?
Yes, Mr. Morris's comment. I would appreciate a little,
please.
and Mrs. Boyko might want to add some information as well. Mr. Morris is talking about our 42 corridor, which of course is a very important part of Westchester. It, as well as the old Westchester along Cincinnati-Dayton Road, are the original businesses. Westchester as a business, Maud, Pisgah. This is where Westchester got its start. It looks older because it is older. Any entity who put up a sign or carved out a driveway and just decided to keep it gravel rather than paving it, if they did that before we had zoning regulations, they're allowed to keep it that way. They are literally grandfathered in to gravel driveways, old signs, and that is not something which we legally can have a whole lot of say about it, as long as the public safety is not concerned. Now, have we ignored it? No. There was not a great deal we could do while ODOT was in the process of redoing the entire length of the US 42 through that area. We have tried to make efforts to bring improvements like sidewalks and bike paths. Most recently, we wanted to put in a significant amount of sidewalks along Dimmick Road so that Dimmick Road residents could walk up to 42 and participate with the businesses there. However, the property owners along the way, even though the township was going to pick up the cost of it, the property owners very strongly disagreed with it and said they did not want a sidewalk, so it did not go in. We have, over the years, had looked at a variety of plans for 42. It is something that we very much would like to do. We have tried to encourage the businesses and property owners along 42 to get together and help develop plans and activities which will help improve their properties and make them more exciting. There's been talk, for example, of encouraging them to, say, go with a similar styled mailboxes to provide some continuity. There's been, when we had a severe storm came through, we lifted the fees that ordinarily a person would have to pay, taking out permits for repairing and replacing signs as a benefit. So we do make efforts with all of our neighborhoods in the community to try and meet their needs. Now, as to whether or not the west side of Westchester is getting more love than the east side, I can't say that's been my experience. With respect to sidewalks or bike paths, the most recent bike path we put in, which paralleled Beckett Road, the property was donated to us by the Homeowners Association. So we were welcomed in, whereas the efforts we have made at specific areas in 42 have not been so welcome. That doesn't mean we will stop reaching out and making efforts. We could not do. We worked with ODOT and tried to convince them that it would be a wonderful idea to include sidewalks and street signs in their development, but they refused to do that. So we are not allowed to tell ODOT how to build their roads. ODOT decides how to build and how to repair them. So that's why all the many millions of dollars worth of work which were done along 42 did not have a great deal of impact from the wishes of the township trustees. There are a few things that were done which I think were important for the safety of this community. ODOT straightened out the intersections of 42 and Butler Warren as part of this project. That part happened several years ago, but it was all part of the improvements made to the length of 42. And this past year, they also did a lot to straighten out that intersection of 42 with Dimmick, which I think also provided greater safety and greater traffic movements along the road. When I first became trustee, every square inch of park that we had was east of 75. Efforts have been made to kind of even that out a little bit. East of 75 still has the bulk of our parkland, but we were able to acquire some on the west side. We are always open to input from our community members to ways we can improve any of our communities. I have sat down and worked with Barb, and I know Barb and Judy, all of us have had constant interaction with property owners in 42, trying to find ways that we can work together to bring a greater sense of neighborhoodness to, say, the Pisgah area. But part of that has to also be born. The property owners have to also want to do that. There was talk, I think in 2009, of a bike path extending from Sharon Woods up to Westchester, with hopes that our connection plan would allow a connector. That did not come to fruition. I know there's been some concern about that. We are in no position to tell Hamilton County or Sharonville what bike paths they should put where. That is something maybe that informally constituents can talk together across the line, so to speak. But that's pretty much what I've got with response
You're right,
to Mr. Morris.
The towns along that 42, that was the old Westchester old development, and as time progresses, a lot of new people moving in, there's space over here, open space, Union Center, there are more people coming in. That's where the new development is. All those places on 42 have been developed in the early days. And then we have made improvements over there with the widening of 42 that really improved the flow of traffic. Another improvement that not too many people notice is that the wires that's hanging across the street has been removed. That looks
On 42.
On 42.
Give it a cleaner look.
Correct. And that looks a lot better now. So.
The other thing, like I say again, a significant amount of the improvements done by not just by the township and the county, but also by private entities, has been done with donated right-of-way, not just for the bike path, but also Union Center Boulevard. That was property all donated, which also helps. In our connections plan, which was done several years ago, we make the statement, it's very clearly stated in it, that the different projects which we have identified in our connections plan as being beneficial to the township as a whole will be done where there are opportunities available. Things like property owners standing forth and saying, we will give you our property if you will build a bike path. Things like, say, grants becoming available, clean water. There used to be clean water grants available. Those are pretty hard to come by now.
And Union Center, actually, that was built through public and private partnership.
Public-private partnership. The land was donated for that.
Right.
We didn't, unlike the Liberty interchange, that was all purchased by tax dollars. Union Center Boulevard land was not. It was donated by the property owners, by the farmers. Everybody knows, ask Wally Schultze or the Baumgardner family or the Rosselo family or the Mingus family. You know,
Thank you.
everybody partnered with that development.
Anything else? Okay. Okay, we have time to go for the executive session. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and go into executive session with legal counsel for the purpose of considering and discussing personnel items, personnel matters, review compensation and benefits of full-time employees, current and pending litigation. The board will return at 7 for the public hearing regarding Beckett Ridge PUD.
I'll make that. Want me to make the motion and
Yes.
vote on it? I'll make that motion.
I will second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Wong,
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker.
Yes.
Okay, I hereby declare public hearing open for zone change case MC case number 213, the Lakota Family YMCA. Ms. Foykel? Yes.
Good evening. The case before you tonight is, as you mentioned, Westchester YMCA case MC 02-13. This property is located on the north side of Union Center Boulevard, approximately 200 feet east of Beckett Road. The applicant this evening is Lakota Family YMCA, and they are requesting a major change to the Beckett Ridge PUD. The aerial that you see here shows the outside boundaries of the Beckett Ridge PUD. As you can see, it's a quite large planned unit development. It does reach to portions of State Road 747, portions of Tylersville, portions of the Swordsville Westchester Road. A little bit of it goes on the east side of 75, and then down near the Westchester Road, Beckett Road area. The property that we're here to discuss tonight is the property colored in green there, which is just on the north side of Union Center Boulevard, just east of Beckett Road. Here's an aerial photo a little closer in. As you can see, it's just adjacent to Beckett Park, the baseball fields located in this location. This is Union Center Boulevard that runs through the slide, and Beckett Road runs just to the west of the proposed site. The proposed major change to the PUD includes this preliminary development plan that's being presented, which involves a two-story, 100,000 square foot facility for a YMCA, which includes a health fitness center and a daycare center. Just to the north of the building, there's a 65,000 square foot outdoor pool and deck area. Access to the site. Currently, there is a traffic light at the intersection of Union Center Boulevard and Beckett Road. Because of the close proximity to that traffic light and the limited access directly into the site, the applicant is asking for the installation of a traffic light at Union Center Boulevard at the park entrance and a cross-access easement that goes into the park entrance and takes a 90-degree turn heading west into the parking lot for the YMCA. There are a couple retention ponds, one along Union Center Boulevard and one to the rear of the site. There is a tree line that runs through the site in this area here. Just to the north side of the tree line, the applicant is showing a athletic field. And once again, the property in question is the outline, or the property outlined in the solid black line. The land use plan, as adopted by Westchester Township, recommends this property as public and institutional, which is defined by the land use plan as public or semi-public uses such as parks, government buildings, churches, schools, utility services. Now, once again, this is the proposed plan. Since the preliminary development plan for the originally approved Beckett Ridge development indicated that subject property was reserved open space, therefore, that's why the applicant is requesting a major change to the preliminary development plan because it's changing the original plan. The adjacent Beckett Park, just to the west, as I mentioned, the applicant is asking for access through Beckett Park. Beckett Park is subject to federal restrictions, which requires approval of the National Park Service. So any major changes or agreements involving Beckett Park would require their approval. So since access is being proposed through Beckett Park, an easement will be required. That's subject to National Park Service approval and township approval. The National Park Service has given their preliminary approval for a shared access drive through Beckett Park for the YMCA use only, which will be subject to their final approval of the easement. Staff is recommending that an executed easement should be submitted with the final development plan application if this major change is approved. A traffic impact study was submitted by the applicant, which recommends several roadway improvements to accommodate the anticipated traffic loads for the proposed development, which does include, as I mentioned, a traffic light on Union Center Boulevard at the Beckett Park entrance. A letter from the Butler County Engineer's Office on December 10, 2012 concurs with the recommendations of the submitted traffic impact study with minimal additions and corrections, which does require that all the recommended improvements be installed prior to completion of the facility and the opening of the facility. Staff is recommending that the preliminary development plan be updated to reflect the required improvements per the traffic impact study. The appropriate right-of-way should be dedicated along Union Center Boulevard. As you can see, along Union Center Boulevard, the property line does kind of come down to the center line of Union Center Boulevard, just to the east of that. Staff is recommending that in conjunction with the development that the appropriate right-of-way be dedicated per the Butler County Engineer's Office thoroughfare plan and illustrated accordingly on the final development plan. Also at the final development plan, a detailed building floor plan should be submitted with the specific uses noted, which staff will use to calculate the parking requirements for the overall site. And also, the parking layout should be coordinated with the Westchester Fire Department prior to submittal. A detailed drainage and grading plan should also be submitted in conjunction with the final development plan to ensure that it meets the required county stormwater regulations and appropriate grading is provided to the adjacent Beckett Park. Some site views looking around the area. This is a site view to the north looking across Union Center Boulevard. This is a site view to the west directly in front of the subject site. Here you can see the existing traffic light at Beckett Road. Side view to the east looking toward the Beckett Park existing entrance. Site view to the northwest, this is at the main entrance of the of Becca Park where the traffic light would be installed. The subject site is just off to the west where you can see these signs. This is site view to the north looking directly into the existing Becca Park. Becca Park entrance, as I mentioned, the baseball complex is just off to the right of this slide. Back into the main entrance, the proposed drive would come here and take a 90-degree turn to the left. And it would go through the field here to the proposed site. Site view to the south, looking back toward Union Center Boulevard, which runs through the slide in the middle of the slide. And this is looking back to the east toward the baseball complex. This is site view to the south, looking along the property line back toward Union Center Boulevard. As you see, there's a little bit of a grade change, which is the reason why my staff's asking for a drainage and grading plan to make sure it's a smooth transition in this area. Side view to the north, looking toward the back of Becca Park, you can see the existing tree line, as I mentioned in the staff report. And on the other side of that tree line, that's where the athletic field would be located. And this is side view to the north, looking to the Boundless Playground, which just is adjacent to the back side of the proposed site. And once again, the proposed plan. The Westchester Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing on July 15, 2013, and recommended approval of the application with conditions. The Butler County Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on July 9, 2013, and also recommended approval of the application with conditions. The Butler County Engineer's Office had 3 comments, mainly engineering type of comments. Sizing calculations shall be provided for the proposed retention-detention areas, which shall meet Engineer's Office requirements. The northern proposed detention-retention area is located on the bank of an existing drainage swale. So they're referencing this drainage, or this retention area right here, and there is a drainage swale that runs through the middle of that tree line. Verification that this area is not part of the jurisdictional waters of the state will be required. And also a note that water quantity and water quality will be required to be addressed. Westchester Fire Department had 3 comments. All portions of the building shall be within 400 feet of a fire hydrant. Propose a fire lane adjacent to the building just north of the drop-off area, which the drop-off area is in this area right here. Provide 2 open parking spaces for fire department EMS access to the pool area, spaces to coincide with gate access points to be determined by the fire department. The Butler County Soil and Water Conservation Office had 2 comments, noting that a regulated stream flows through the southwest portion of the property, this area right here. When planning, please contact the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to ensure proper permits are obtained, and also noting that the Butler County floodplain manager should be contacted for floodplain regulations when construction planning begins. And finally, the Butler County Health Department noted that Ohio Department of Health plan review will be required for all buildings containing pools and spas, which the proposed building will contain. Tonight is the first reading by the trustees. At the second reading, the trustees are to accept the Zoning Commission's recommendation of approval, approve with modification, or deny the submitted major change to a PUD unless additional information is necessary. Be glad to answer any questions of staff at this time, or we can turn it over to the applicant.
Trustee Stoker, do you have any questions
Yeah.
or need any clarification? Please refrain from any deliberation.
Thank you. Could you repeat again what the current zoning is and what the land use plan is and what they would like to change the zoning to?
Well, the current zoning of the property is residential plan unit development as part of the Beckett Ridge plan unit development. The preliminary development plan that's associated with the Beckett Ridge PUD designates this property as open space. The applicant is not requesting a change to the zoning of the property, so the zoning would remain residential plan unit development, but they're asking for a change to the preliminary development plan that's associated with Beckett Ridge.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? None. I will ask for any proponents to come forward who is for this project. Or the applicants? Oh, I'm sorry, applicants. Please.
Yes, Richard McKinney, Liberty Township, Ohio. As stated, we are looking to put in a proposed site here at Beckett Ridge for our YMCA. As most things go, changes are always met with opposition, but we feel as though this change is going to be something good for the community. As the representative on the board at the Y, as a volunteer, one of my primary purposes and reasons there is really just try to identify what our community needs are. We don't compete with private organizations. We are a nonprofit. We are looking at our site to meet really all those needs that our community feels that aren't being met by some of those other organizations. We have a plan on site for, again, a phased-in process for development of facility for physical fitness, again for child care development. Also, we have one of the largest silver sneakers plans right now in all of the Ys right now in Ohio. About 1,000 members there to meet the needs of our senior folks as well. And again, we're looking at having not an apples to apples or apples to orange comparison when we look at other fitness centers. They really hone in on specific physical needs or physical needs for the community, as well as other child care needs for the community with other private organizations. We have a concept that allows us to get out there and really meet the needs and affordable means for all involved. And again, we're not we are a private organization, therefore we don't feel the need to, it's the same model that you see with other facilities out there, and it feels that this will be an excellent spot and location to meet the needs of Westchester. And just some history on that, we were designed to come down here back in 1990, I believe it was, but again, that land deal had fallen through. We did end up going up into the Liberty Township area, which has been very beneficial to this point and has grown tremendously. And again, I think that the Westchester community at large will benefit greatly from a YMCA here at this location.
Thank you. Trustee Stoker, do you have any questions or clarification?
Is your business plan the same as the Liberty Township's plan, or in other words, this project, or how is it different?
This is going to be somewhat different in that it's going to be it's going to be a bigger facility. This facility will be built right, whereas we kind of piecemealed it in at Liberty Township, but we did make it work. This one will be built from the ground up with the idea of phasing in those activities that we mentioned earlier that meet the community's requirements and needs, starting out with our fitness center, looking at our aquatics program, and hopefully involve that into an indoor platform as well, so we can help the schools meet their aquatic needs as well. So it'll be a phase-in project. It'll be a lot nicer, a lot better, and it should augment the green space that is going to be built on with the park services as well.
I have a question. The easement going into your property, is it pedestrian accessible, that they can walk on a sidewalk going into it?
I believe that we would plan for that. Mr. Gillard? Thanks.
I'm Bob Garlock with Bear Becker, 6900 Toddersville Road, Mason. And we've designed the site so that there is pedestrian access out along the frontage of Union Center. So you see just south of the building, we've got a hiking path that would continue basically from our east to our west property line. This also ties in when you look at the township's master plan for this area. That path then also continues on up through the open space to the west, would tie back into the pathway system in the park to the north, and then loop back around as you develop that area for the park. So yes, it is. We have considered pedestrian access into this facility, and we've coordinated it with the township's master plan to make sure that it works together.
So there's more than one access for the pedestrian.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Now we'll open the floor to proponents of this project.
My name is Angela Adam, and I live on 8183 Mellowtone Court. I learned about this project from the signs on Union Center Boulevard, and I am a community public health nurse, and so I was very interested in the placement of the YMCA here. I am in support of this because of the wide variety of, I think it would be a complement to the walking path and the other outdoor playing fields, sports fields. And the YMCA offers a wide variety of programs for community members, including the daycare program. I don't know if this YMCA will have a latchkey program, but some YMCAs have latchkey programs that are very helpful to families, especially working families. And also other programs, the community rooms and available spaces. That's something, the YMCA being a nonprofit organization, it would be more readily accessible and available to the public as opposed to being a private organization. And so for those reasons, I want to offer my support of this project.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Proponent for the project?
I'm Mark Morris at 8876 Eagleview Drive. I really have a question that concerns the PUD plan. As a Beckett Ridge homeowner and also a board member for Beckett Ridge, the question that I would want answered is if the zoning change is made to that.
We are asking for a proponent on this matter. Later on, if you want a question.
Well, I don't know if I would be a proponent or against it until my question would be answered as is if it was approved, would it affect the voting rights of the homeowners association? Because if you remember last year when they decided to sell the Beckett Ridge Country Club and Golf Course at an auction, the buyers of the country club and golf course, they were under the anticipation of actually tearing the country club down and building single-family homes on that site and condos. Well, once the group found out that they would have to get the approval of the homeowners association to change the zoning for Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association, they dropped the whole plan and walked away from it and didn't buy the golf course at the auction. So whether I'm for it or against it, my biggest concern is if the PUD is changed, would that affect the voting rights of the homeowners association? Basically because of the article that was in Sunday's Pulse Journal that if this is allowed, then all of a sudden we're going to have a fast food restaurant one day on Beckett Ridge Boulevard. So I really have a question. I'm not really against it or for it until I know the answer to that question.
Point of order, Mr. President. I think that's probably a question that's best served to the the Beckett Ridge Masters Association. I think that probably will be governed by its covenants and its deeds and restrictions, and that probably can best be served by that entity and not this governing board.
We don't decide who votes in the homeowners association.
Right. Do we have any proponents for this project?
Proponents. Anyone for?
For the project. Okay. Then we move on to any opponents for this project. Please come forward. State your name, address for the record.
My name is Michael Austin. I live at 7825 Glen Oaks Court in Beckett Ridge. I do not want a YMCA in Beckett Ridge. First, the major proposed restructure to Beckett Ridge PUD will forever change the community I have lived in for 32 years. The current PUD allows for residential parks, schools, churches, and green space. Allowing this change to an institution like the YMCA to be built will destroy not only Beckett Ridge, but set up the rest of the PUDs in Westchester for a similar action. Second, traffic at the intersection of Union Center and Beckett Ridge or Beckett Road is already congested. Adding the YMCA to the area will only make it worse. How many millions of taxpayer dollars will be used to try and improve the congestion problem so that the YMCA can build an entrance at their facility? Third, we already have 2 YMCAs within 10 minutes driving time of the proposed site. The third one is only 15 minutes away. There are 5 fitness centers, 3 swim clubs, and 4 daycare centers also within minutes of the proposed site. Why do we need more? What economic negative impact will this YMCA have on the businesses that already support Westchester now? They may have Christian in their name, but their actions are nowhere near the Christian beliefs that I was raised with. At the zoning board meeting, one of the members suggested this group embrace the community and find out what negative impact this will have on the area. To date, no one has contacted me. I do not want Beckett Ridge changed for the YMCA.
Thank you. Do we have any other opponents?
Yes. My name is Claire Austin, 7825 Glen Oaks Court. My husband just addressed you. I did have a question. You were talking about the association, our homeowners association. We've spoken with 2 homeowner association board members in the past 3 days. They were not even aware that the PUD was to be changed. I just spoke with one member maybe a couple hours ago, and Mrs. Palm said, no, it's only a corner that's to be changed. We're not aware of any change. Now, perhaps it isn't necessary to inform the Association of Beckett Ridge homeowners, but I would think it would be a courtesy to the community so that they would be aware, because that has been our governing homeowners body for 32 years that we've lived there. We pay, just like everyone else, we pay our dues to them, and we adhere to the bylaws that are set up. We are not allowed to have boats in our driveways, whatever it is. We adhere to those bylaws, and we respect that. We ask for respect in return. They aren't even aware. How can the association react or inform any of the homeowners if they're not aware of any of this? And it does affect every one of us. We bought our first home in Beckett Ridge 32 years ago, and we've stayed there. And we bought there for a reason. We bought there because there was some control in the environment, that we loved the green space. We loved the way it is. We've raised our family there. Our children are grown. They grew up with Beckett Ridge Swim Club, Beckett Ridge Community. I don't want to see that changed. And I don't appreciate the fact that you think everyone is just on board with this. I don't deny that the YMCA is a good organization. They're a wonderful organization. My children took gym there and everything else. But it's a fact that it's changing our way of life as we know it. And I'm very passionate about that. In addition, we own a small business and purchased this to save the community in the way it is. We own Beckett Ridge Aquatics and Tennis. I don't know if you're aware, but I do remember you, sir, saying that it was not going to interfere, or you're not in competition with anything. I heard something to that. I'm paraphrasing. Did you know that the swim club is less than a quarter mile as the bird flies? It is right up that hill that I saw the picture of. I could see the clubhouse.
Mrs. Austin, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you need to direct your comments to the Board of Trustees.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've never done this before, so I'm a bit nervous, so I apologize.
No, it's all right. I understand.
But I am addressing the fact that it was said that the YMCA is not to compete with anything. As Mike said, there are many swim clubs within a mile to 2 miles. It will destroy the businesses that we have held dear and that we have put all of our blood, sweat, and tears into. I guess I just expected a lot more of Westchester, where I've raised my family. Can you think of anything else? I'm looking for support here because I knew I had some other points too, but I'm forgetting them. Am I able to come back up if I remember them? Thank you for listening.
You can send us a letter if you'd like, or email.
Okay. I had so many things on my mind, and I wish one of our adult children is here tonight. I wish the other one could have been here because we employ also for summer employment a lot of these kids in the community. We hire from within, kids that have grown up in the community, kids as lifeguards. We give them recommendations for college, for military academy, and everything else. So many people have grown up there that it's a very important part of the community. It will be gone. I have no doubt. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Austin. Is there any other opponents to the project?
Opponents?
Against the project?
My name is Chris McCullough, 8515 Deer Path. I've lived up on the hill right above where the proposed YMCA is to be, and I feel that it will destroy the character of our community. The baseball is fine, it's sylvan, it's green, but a YMCA with all the impervious pavement and roofs, I think, is not in character to our sylvan way of life in Beckett Ridge. I will have to look down on roofs from my house. I don't appreciate that at all. I'm also the founder of the program at Beckett Ridge Country Club, 35 years of swim team teaching children to swim and competitive swimming, and we already have a program in place there. I also know that years ago, Beckett Ridge drilled some wells, and they water the golf course. I believe that is still true from the wells that are in the property adjacent to the area. And I do know that this area is the site of a lot of underground water, because the water that comes from the wells that water Beckett Ridge Golf Course are tremendous. So there's a big underground water system, and I can't see how a pool, an outdoor pool, will not float out of the ground. I believe that's why the church didn't build there, because of all the groundwater that's there. So I don't think, I think if you want a YMCA, it might be better in some other location where it doesn't compete with all the other things that go on. I also know that the 10 years that I coached Lakota High School swim team, I had dealings with 3 YMCAs. And I learned from that experience that Y doesn't stand for young, it stands for yuppie. And they were very unreceptive to having the swimmers in the water, in their pools, using up their lanes. And I just think, it could go someplace else where it doesn't compete so heavily on an established, proven program. We have conducted championships in the Tri-County Swim League, which I started. We have won 25 times out of 35 years. We have a strong program going, and I would be very upset to see that compromised. And I would be very upset to have to look at a roof in a parking lot from my home up on top of the ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other opponents? Mr. Meehan.
My name is Dan Meehan. I live at 9412 Patty Circle. And I've been to the Westchester Zoning Commission speaking against this. And some of the things I say tonight are probably going to be repetitious if some of those members of that hearing were here. I'm not against the YMCA, but I am against the location of the YMCA. And my reasons are, first of all, nearby Beckett Park, which we all talk about, the wildflowers and things like that, the most I've ever seen are 5 cars there. Sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes none. Very seldom used. So now we're going to, put this in there, and I don't know if it's going to help or what, but, here again, I don't think this is the area to put it. If we do this, we will never have a rec center for Westchester. 1.3 miles, I think it's approximately 1.3 miles is the closest facility similar to this, or part of it similar to this, is the LA Fitness. I grew up in Cincinnati, and I lived in two different neighborhoods, and each of these neighborhoods always had amenities like parks for baseball, football, basketball, outdoor swimming pools, and you could walk and bike to any of these. After I got married, I lived in another planned community where we had a neighborhood planning concept, and each neighborhood had a park area and some very small parks. In the center of the community, we had a big park. It was part of the high school, and it had a stadium and baseball and basketball, tennis courts, picnic area, senior center, municipal building, and that kind of thing. Now, many areas south of Westchester have centers in residential areas, not business districts, such as Blue Ash, Springdale, Green Hills, Fairfield, Sharonville, Evendale, Mason, Woodlawn. Those are just some of them. They're in the middle of a residential area, and I think this is where you put a facility like this. Look at some of the YMCA locations in the greater Cincinnati area. The ones I know most about is the one that's on Pal Crosley YMCA on Witten Road between Green Hills and Finneytown. And it's surrounded by residential area. In Woodlawn, there was a YMCA, and it was put on the fringe area of the residential area close to the business district. It's gone. Middletown, I actually designed a big addition to the Middletown YMCA some years ago. The original downtown YMCA was torn down, and some other parts of it were torn down, but the one that I designed is still there. But it's part of a civic center. And you have a senior center, you have the municipal building, there's a big hotel, there's a shopping area, and all that's part of a civic center, and that's a little different than putting it on the fringe of an area like we have here in Westchester, the business area. I think the downtown Cincinnati YMCA has been converted now to apartments. And I remember once before, recreation facility issue came up, and I was there talking against it. One of the first things I talked against in Westchester, one of the first public hearings or whatever it was, and Mrs. Stoker said to me, she said, if you don't want this rec center in the location that you think it should be, where do you think it should be? And I said then, and I'm going to say it now, that I think the best location is Keener Park. Now, Keener Park has a lot of hills and a lot of mowing that has to take place. That costs us money. If we'd locate a YMCA there, we could lease the land to the YMCA. Now, I'm not sure all the technicalities here, if this is a nonprofit organization or not, and all that kind of stuff. But there's money saved in just mowing the lawn over there. Plus the fact that it's completely surrounded by residential. Now, once that would happen, if it would ever happen, the next thing you have to do is you have to put some sidewalks and bikeways in. Starting up at Cox Road and come on down to Keener Park, and then going in the other direction, go all the way over to Westchester Road. And I remember at the hearing that was held at the zoning commission, one of the zoning commissioners said, boy, this YMCA is going to be a home run for Westchester. Well, my opinion is that if this YMCA is located in Keener Park, it's a home run with bases loaded, because it's in a good location and it could work. But I think one of the things going back is that I said was the fact that if we put this in, we will not have a rec center ever in Westchester. The other thing, I did mention that, never mind. Many of the residential districts in Westchester have no sidewalks, and they don't have good drainage, and somewhere along the line we got snookered into putting in storm sewers, and we got drainage ditches, and we have no sidewalks, and so it's almost impossible for anyone to do things like ride their bicycle to a park or walk to the park or anything like that because we don't have any. So that's why I'm thinking that if it would be located in Keener Park, that the sidewalks would have to be put in, and boy, that would draw a lot of people into within walking distance or riding distance on their bicycle. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
McKay.
yes, no, there is one other thing. This is something that was put out in 2006, and it's called A Vision Westchester 2025. And I happened to mark all these little places in here where it talks about, well, we really got to do something about sidewalks in this community. And if we had some sidewalks, like I say, over by the Keener Park and this building would go over there, why, it would be nice.
Thank you. Is there any other opponents?
Carolyn Stringer. I live at 5544 Chris Lane, Liberty Township. I'm
Liberty Township?
Liberty Township, so I
This
do not
is a
belong
hearing for Westchester
only.
residents.
Well, I only wanted to ask a question that I might be able to speak on behalf because I cannot move into Beckett Ridge and would if I could. And I am a member of the Beckett Ridge Country and Community Pool, and I have some ideas and some concerns about the YMCA because I used to belong to this particular Y in Liberty Township, and before that I was a member of Pal Crosley Y in 74. I was a member of the Y in Hamilton that's now called Fenton Y
Would it
for
be
20 years.
perhaps more appropriate if you were to say send us a letter? Because this hearing is specifically for
The zoning.
Westchester residents
Residents.
or
Okay.
property
People
owners.
who are proposing it are from Liberty Township.
Yeah, I belong to this situation somehow, some way. I pay dues into the situation. And I am very concerned about Westchester's future needing a community center with a 50-meter pool instead of a 25-meter pool. Because all of Butler County is minus 50-meter pools in one way or shape. The children need a bigger pool.
Are you saying this Y is not planning a big enough pool? Is that the point
That's
you're
right.
making?
That's right. And this is a money-making Y. You cannot use your membership at any other Y. I was also a member of this Y and GMVY.
Is that true?
Okay.
I've been a member of several Ys, and I am a USA official. I've been a YMCA official. I've been with swimming since my daughter was born in 72, and she was in swimming at age 6. So since the 70s through now, I am still working as a USA official for my granddaughter. And we belong to the Mason Community Center. And I can see a lot of differences from where I've been and where I'm going and the future of what my granddaughter needs. And I wish there was something less than 8.5 miles from my home near Kyle Station that was big enough. They need the 50-meter pool, and they've made a mistake not building it. Butler County has nothing to compare with Pal Crosley and Countryside. And we need something better than a community center that's going to make money for daycare.
Thank you. Okay, point of order. This hearing is for the residents of Westchester.
Sorry, I wish I could be one, but can't sell my house out there.
Okay. Any other opponents? Okay, I'll move on to next. Any neutral comments? Neutral comments.
Say something here. Hang on a second. Kevin Tinsley, 6318 Hedge Road in Westchester. I think what you should do when you're considering this is do take a good hard look at the entrance, because when you first put that up there, I guess you'd probably say, I thought, well, surely there's going to be an entrance over here, or two entrances. But when we look at the traffic that's going to be coming in and out of here, especially on baseball days, I mean, and just access to something big like this it just seems like it's going to be crowded a lot. And, this is a very short drive here. You've got a light that's going to back up traffic when people are leaving games. I think that there should probably be a lot of consideration on when are those games. They're on Saturdays and Sundays. When is the biggest activity around the pool and the activities at the YMCA? That's probably going to be at the same time. So to me, from the get-go, I thought, well, that just doesn't look right. And when you ask the fire department, they're going to say, well, we like to have two ways to access any big facility like this, and I just don't see, it seems to me that there should be another access point over here or up here somewhere. But the other thing that I was thinking about is that as we talk about the school, we totally appreciate the YMCA in Liberty Township supporting the Lakota High School, because I don't know what the fees they pay, but Lakota High School currently, both East and West, practice at the YMCA in Liberty Township. Now, maybe what we should do is have some kind of if it goes through, is have some kind of an agreement where there's, we totally trust them at this point to say, okay, yeah, we're going to rent you these lanes, but maybe there's some kind of a mandatory 99-year agreement that the Lakota high schools can practice and have meets there. And, we can work something out there if it goes through. Those are my thoughts on just thinking ahead if this thing is approved. But, and again, now I've got the no sticker on because I was past president of the Beckett Ridge swim team. I'm an investor at the club. And I think we ought to look at why wasn't our original community center built at the spot where it was? I heard a lot of issues about the water table and levels there, so I think we should continuously look at that as well, if you don't mind. Any comments or thoughts on that?
The recreation center was voted down.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a long time ago, but I know I heard a lot about the water table. I do agree with the 50-meter pool. If we're going to put something in, this is a heavy, heavy swim county, including Warren County. We would like to see a 50-meter pool in here at some point. I don't think it's the right spot for that based on the water table, though. But and consequently, if it's not the right spot for a 50-meter pool or a big pool because of the water table, then maybe it should be somewhere else. And that's, I think the gentleman who was up before me earlier brought up a good point. If the location is not the right spot, if there are other Ys that are closed because they're not surrounded by residential, then I think we should have a good hard look at that. Because you go over there on the weekends, it's kind of dead. I mean, there are businesses that are going in there. There's not a lot of activity. Go to, that corner where the Qdoba was, and there's just always businesses going in and out of there. Maybe it's going to drive more traffic there. If that's the case, then you got to go back and look at the traffic diagram there. So, okay? That's it. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Trustee Stoker, do you need any clarification?
Yes, this I think would be questions for the applicant. Does this Y offer reciprocal use at other Ys? What's the story behind that? Does a membership here...
Sorry, could you repeat that question again?
Does this Y have reciprocal agreements with other YMCAs? So that
my name's John Schaller, 6703 Yankee Road. I'm the CEO of the Lakota Family YMCA. The way the YMCA works across the United States is we participate in a program called the Y Away program. And the agreement amongst the Ys, if you're out of your association farther than 50 miles away, you're welcome to participate in any YMCA that you want to. We honor that agreement with all the Ys that travel, for people that travel from all over. Within the boundaries, within 50 miles, there are other associations. Cincinnati Metro is a separate association that's underneath the belt loop of 275. Countryside is a separate, in Lebanon, an independent YMCA, and they are separate from the Cincinnati Metro, along with being separate from the Dayton Metro. And then also the Greater Miami Valley YMCA, which includes Hamilton and East Butler YMCA, are their own associations. Our agreement with them is that we, amongst all the people that are within that 50-mile parameter of the National YMCA's agreement, is that we allow half of a guest fee. A guest fee is like $5. We let other people come in that are part of those Ys for half that guest fee. The idea behind the National YMCA's program that's like this is that you belong to the YMCA within your community, because we are a community-based program and a reflection of what the community wants to build. Hey, if the community wants to build a 50-meter pool, we're right there with you. It's a function of what monies are available by the private citizens to provide that foundation to build that organization. The Y reflects what the community wants to build. We are one of the first outreaches that we've done up in Liberty Township. It has been the child care. There were no commercial child cares 20 years ago, and we were the first ones to step to the table and provide child care for the community. And what we provide child care for is the most affordable child care of anyone out there, and accept scholarships to those people that can't afford child care. We're totally different than a profit-oriented child care business, because we are basing what the needs of those people are, not what they can afford.
Okay, so if I could clarify, what you're saying is that if somebody has a membership at your Y, that doesn't mean they can go to Countryside, say, because it's not outside the 50-mile.
We have an agreement within our group of the people that are the independent Ys that are close. So between Countryside and ours, we reciprocate guest fees at half the price of just a normal guest fee.
Okay. The other question I have is what percentage, it wasn't mentioned, I think, in the presentation, what percentage of the property would be open space, green space? You're not that far along in your
Well,
plan?
no, I think the direct percentages, I think what we did look at that. Bob is digging for it right now.
That was one of the issues that was one of the people we're speaking to.
3.8 acres of the site is provided as open space. That's about 38%.
38%.
Just under 38, it's 37.9%. So if you look at, for example, the athletic field, the whole wooded area, all of that is all open space.
What's the total acreage?
Total acreage is 10 acres.
I had another question, and I'm not sure if it should be addressed to you or to Mr. Bierman, and that is for when events are happening either at your facility or across the entryway at the baseball court, has there been any planning of perhaps opening up the back gate by the recycling center to allow greater egress? That would allow people to leave out through the back by Mulhauser Barn if it were open. Right now it's closed to prevent.
That's probably more of a question for administration. We do that now on certain high visibility and high density events that are attended. We certainly do that now.
So that's
certainly
sort of
something
a policy.
I wouldn't say it's a policy, but something that we look at on a case-by-case basis. And certainly if the demand is there, we do that.
Thank you. I think that's all the questions I have.
What is the cost of this project?
It's like about 12.5. We're looking at million.
Okay. No more question. You have anything?
I can't think of anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you guys talked to the Savannah Center too? At all?
What?
The street? Isn't the Savannah Center right
Okay.
across the street?
Point of order. This is a formal hearing that we pass through the stage now.
Could we ask Mr. Bierman maybe to
All
respond
right,
to that?
Mr. Bierman?
I specifically have not talked to the Savannah Center. I'd have to check the adjoining property owner notice to see if they were notified, but we haven't had any contact with them. I believe the traffic impact study would accommodate or take into account the Savannah Center.
I did have one other question in response to a comment made by one of our residents, and that is, did you provide a informational packet to the homeowners association or to the homeowner members?
No, we did not do that. It's not something we typically do for all the applications in the township. As required by the ORC, we do notify all the adjoining property owners within 200 feet, send notifications out, put a notice in the paper as well.
Now, this piece, 10 acres, is it private property or a part of HOA?
It's private property. It's currently bank-owned. Was, as somebody mentioned, was originally owned by Four Corners Church. Then the bank took it over. I'm not sure of the process. I'm not sure if it was foreclosure or whatnot.
So, although it was originally part of the PUD, it is, of the homeowners association, it is not now. It was sold off?
That's my understanding, right? It's not owned by the Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association. There's other parts of Beckett Ridge, like State Road 747. There's several commercial businesses over there. There's the church that's on the corner of
Tri-County.
Yeah, the Tri-County. Yeah, Beckett Road and Smith Road there. That's not owned by the Homeowners Association. That's privately owned by the church. So there's other privately owned parcels inside the Beckett Ridge PUD.
All right, I'm going to direct you to conduct the first reading of resolution. Do you have any other question?
No.
Resolution number 14-2013, resolution approving a major change to the Becker Ridge PUD for case MC 02-13, Lakota Family YMCA. Now therefore be it resolved that on the basis of the above actions and findings, the Westchester Township Board of Trustees does hereby concur with the recommendation of approval of the Westchester Township Zoning Commission and does hereby approve proposed major change to the Becker Ridge PUD for the aforesaid application with the following conditions. There are a series of 9 conditions listed on the resolution.
And we can also welcome from residents or property owners, say if they want to write or email us.
Oh, absolutely.
We are certainly welcome. We are prevented by law from deliberating at this time. We can just ask questions for clarification in our own mind as to the facts. But we certainly welcome input for those who were unable to come tonight to this meeting. They can email us or write to the township. We welcome comments. I know all the board members would be interested in the opinions of the residents.
There will be a second reading.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are not voting at all until...
Just conducting the first reading.
Correct. Okay. I hereby close this public hearing. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this trustee meeting.
Okay, also moved.
I'll second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.